Think about the most successful person you know. Just picture them in your head.
Okay, yep, got him.
Now think about the least successful person you know.
Right.
Here is a highly uncomfortable, like, biologically proven fact about both of those people. They probably have the exact same goals.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, every Olympian wants to win the gold medal, right?
Exactly.
And every single candidate applying for a job, well, they all want to get hired. So if successful and unsuccessful people share the exact same goals, then the goal itself cannot be what differentiates the winners from the losers.
Which completely shatters the advice we've all been fed since we were kids, doesn't it?
Oh, totally.
We are constantly told to, go big or go home, create vision boards, visualize the finish line.
Right, all that classic self-help stuff.
But if you are listening to this deep dive right now, you have probably set a massive goal, gotten incredibly motivated for like 3 days.
And then
Wow.
watched as that expensive stationary bike you bought slowly morphed into a very expensive clothes hanger.
Yes, exactly. And then you blame your willpower. You think you aren't disciplined enough. But what if the problem isn't you?
What if the problem is the underlying mechanics of how you're trying to change?
That is the fundamental question we are answering today. We're exploring the concepts laid out in James Clear's 2018 bestseller, Atomic Habits.
Such a massive book.
It really is. But we aren't just skimming the surface of, how to build a habit. Our mission today is to deconstruct the actual biological and psychological machinery of human behavior.
Right. We want to understand why your brain actively fights your attempts to change, and more importantly, how to build systems that work with your biology instead of against it.
And we are going to give you a remarkably simple, highly actionable daily strategy from chapter 16 of the book.
Oh, the paperclip thing. I love this part.
It's so good. It requires almost zero money. It takes maybe 2 seconds a day, and it effectively hacks your brain's natural reward system to guarantee consistency.
But to understand why that daily strategy works, we kind of have to start with a rather shocking origin story.
Yeah, we do. So on the final day of his sophomore year of high school, James Clear was hit in the face with a baseball bat.
And it wasn't just a glancing blow either.
No, not at all.
A classmate took a full swing, the bat slipped out of his hands, and it struck Clear directly between the eyes.
The details in the book are just absolutely visceral. I mean, the impact crushed his nose into this distorted U shape.
Oh, man.
It shattered both of his eye sockets, and the force was so immense that it sent the soft tissue of his brain slamming into the inside of his skull.
Which resulted in multiple skull fractures.
Right, and by the time he was rushed to the hospital, his brain swelling was so severe that he was losing basic cognitive function.
Yeah, there's that terrifying moment where the doctors ask him what year it was.
And he said 1998.
But it was actually 2002.
Right, and when they asked who the president was, he said Bill Clinton.
It was just a catastrophic trauma. He eventually had to be placed in a medically induced coma.
Which is just wild to think about.
And his recovery process wasn't a matter of weeks. It took years. He couldn't drive. He had to relearn basic motor functions.
Wow.
And if we look at this through the lens of human behavior, his recovery is really the perfect case study for why massive goals are often useless.
Right, because Clear couldn't rely on these sweeping overnight transformations to get his life back.
Exactly. A massive goal of playing college baseball again means absolutely nothing when you can't even walk in a straight line.
He had to rely on tiny, almost imperceptible marginal gains, which is actually where the title of the book comes from.
The atomic part.
The word atomic has a dual definition that perfectly captures this philosophy.
Right.
On one hand, an atom is an extremely small amount of a thing, the single irreducible building block of a larger system.
But on the other hand, it is the source of immense explosive energy.
Small, but incredibly mighty.
Just as atoms build molecules, these tiny atomic habits are the foundational building blocks of remarkable results.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second, because I have to push back on this a little bit.
Sure, go for it.
If visualizing the finish line is a bad thing, how do we ever achieve anything? Like, if I don't have a goal, how do I even know what I'm supposed to be doing every day?
Well, that's the thing.
Isn't a finish line necessary for direction?
Direction is exactly what goals are good for. Setting a goal is great for plotting a course,
Okay.
but they are terrible for actually making progress. The issue is that a goal-oriented mindset naturally creates this yo-yo effect.
Oh, like with diets.
Exactly. Or think of runners who train for 6 months for a marathon. They run every day, they eat perfectly, and then they finally cross the finish line. What happens the next week?
They usually stop running entirely.
Exactly. The goal is gone, so the motivation vanishes right along with it.
Wow, yeah.
You stop playing the game the moment you cross the finish line. This is why Clear argues, and this is one of those famous quotes from the book, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
You fall to the level of your systems?
Right. If you are having trouble changing your habits, your desire isn't the issue. Your system is the issue.
So it's basically the difference between saying, I want a clean house versus I'm going to spend 10 minutes every night putting things away.
Yes, exactly.
The clean house is the goal, but the 10-minute routine is the system. And the system is what actually gets the job done.
So on.
But that raises a huge problem, I think. A lot of people feel like they are building systems, but they aren't seeing any results.
Oh, all the time.
They read the books, they download all the productivity apps, they buy the fancy planners, and they still fail. Why does that happen?
Because they're confusing motion with action.
Motion with action. Okay, explain that.
There is a brilliant story about a University of Florida photography class that illustrates this perfectly. It was taught by a professor named Jerry Uelsman.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah, so on the first day of class, Uelsman divided his students into two groups. The left side of the room was the quantity group.
Quantity, okay.
They would be graded solely on the sheer volume of photos they produced. Submit 100 photos, you get an A, 90 gets a B, and so on.
And the right side of the room was the quality group.
Right.
They only had to produce one single photo for the entire semester. But to get an A, it had to be a nearly perfect, masterful image.
Now, you would naturally assume that the quality group produced the best photograph, right?
I mean, yeah, they had months to focus on a single image.
But at the end of the semester, every single one of the best photos was produced by the quantity group.
Every single one. Wait, really? How does that make sense? How does taking a bad photo teach you more than carefully planning a perfect one?
Because planning is just motion.
Ah.
The quality group sat around theorizing about perfection. They read about composition, they debated lighting techniques, and they got entirely bogged down in finding the optimal plan without actually doing the work.
While the quantity group was just out there shooting.
Exactly. The quantity group was taking action. They were out in the field, messing with camera settings, testing different exposures in the darkroom, making hundreds of mistakes,
Yeah.
and physically learning from those mistakes.
Wow. Okay, so motion feels like progress, but it's really just preparation.
Yes.
Searching for the perfect diet plan is motion. Eating a healthy meal is action.
Exactly.
Researching the best gym in your city is motion. Doing 10 push-ups on your living room floor is action.
You got it.
So if we want to stop getting trapped in motion and start taking consistent action, how do we actually do that without burning ourselves out, like without needing superhuman willpower?
We have to look at the neurological feedback loop that drives every single action you take.
Okay.
This loop is running in your brain every second of your life, whether you realize it or not. It consists of 4 distinct stages: cue, craving, response, and reward.
Cue, craving, response, reward. Okay, walk me through that. What does that look like in real time?
Let's say you walk into a dark room. The darkness is the cue. That cue triggers a craving in your brain you want to be able to see.
Makes sense.
That craving motivates a response. You reach out and flip the light switch, which immediately provides a reward. The room is illuminated, and your craving is satisfied.
Cue, craving, response, reward. And it happens in milliseconds.
Exactly.
Like your phone buzzes, that's the cue. You want to know who texted you, that's the craving. You pick up the phone, the response, you read the text, the reward.
Precisely. And from this biological loop, we derive the 4 laws of behavior change.
The core of the whole system.
Yes. If you want to build a good habit, you have to align with this loop. Law 1, make the cue obvious. Law 2, make the craving attractive.
Okay.
Law 3, make the response easy. And Law 4, make the reward satisfying.
And I assume if I have a terrible habit, I want to break it, like endlessly scrolling social media at midnight, I just invert those laws.
You just flip them, yeah.
Make the cue invisible by leaving my phone in another room. Make it unattractive. Make it incredibly hard to do. And make it unsatisfying.
Exactly. But let's focus on Law 3 for a second. Make it easy.
Okay, the law of least effort.
Right. Willpower is a heavily, heavily overrated short-term strategy.
It really is.
You simply cannot rely on it, especially after a long, exhausting day. Human behavior naturally gravitates toward the option that requires the least amount of work. It is literally an evolutionary survival mechanism to conserve energy.
It's almost like water flowing through a garden hose.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, like if the hose gets kinked, the water stops. You basically have two options. You could crank up the water pressure to the absolute maximum,
Oh.
forcing the water through the kink.
Which is the equivalent of using raw willpower.
Exactly. Or you could just walk over and unbend the hose. You just remove the friction.
That's a brilliant way to conceptualize it. It is entirely about environment design.
Right.
Japanese manufacturing companies famously used a concept called addition by subtraction to revolutionize their assembly lines.
Addition by subtraction.
Yeah, they didn't just ask their workers to work harder or faster. They physically redesigned the workspaces to subtract wasted movement, which naturally added efficiency and revenue.
Okay, so if I want to play guitar more, I shouldn't leave it in its case in the back of the closet.
Definitely not.
I should buy a stand and put it right in the middle of my living room. I make the cue obvious, and I make the response easy. I'm unbending the hose. I'm removing the friction.
Yes, and if you want to watch less television, unplug it after every use.
Oh, wow. That's so simple, but so annoying.
Exactly. You are adding a tiny bit of friction to a bad habit. Environment design is the secret engine of long-term consistency.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate here for a minute.
Do it.
I undone the hose. I put my guitar in the living room. I lay out my gym clothes the night before. I do everything right. And it works flawlessly
Right.
for exactly 3 weeks.
Right. The 3-week wall.
Yeah. And then, without fail, I slowly revert right back to my old ways. The guitar gathers dust. The gym clothes stay on the floor. If the environment is designed perfectly, why does the habit still die?
Because you are attacking the wrong layer of your behavior.
The wrong layer.
Yes. Behavior change works exactly like the layers of an onion, or like a target with 3 concentric circles.
Okay, visualizing a target.
The outermost superficial layer is your outcomes. This is what you get. Losing 10 pounds, publishing a novel, winning a championship.
Outcomes, got it.
The middle layer is your processes. This is what you do, implementing a new gym routine or decluttering your desk.
Okay.
But the innermost, deepest layer is your identity. This is what you believe. It's your worldview, your self-image, your biases.
Outcomes are what you get. Processes are what you do. Identity is who you believe you are,
The fatal flaw most people make is working outside in.
starting with the outcome.
Yes, they start with the outcome. They say, I want to write a book. That outcome dictates their process, but it completely ignores their underlying identity. If you secretly believe you are a lazy person who never finishes projects, your new habit of writing every morning is going to constantly battle your core identity. And your identity will always win.
Wow. Okay, so the alternative is working inside out, building identity-based habits.
Right.
Instead of trying to write a book, I need to focus on becoming the type of person who is a writer.
Exactly. You shift the focus from the goal to the self-image. And here's where it gets really fascinating. Your identity is not set in stone.
It's not.
No, it is entirely fluid, and it is shaped by your daily actions. Think of it like a continuous internal election.
Yeah.
Every single action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become.
I love that analogy so much. So every time I practice the guitar for even 5 minutes, I am casting a vote for, I am a musician.
Yes.
Every time I choose a salad over fries, I am casting a vote for, I am a healthy person.
And just like a real election, you do not need a unanimous vote to win.
Thank goodness.
Right. You just need a majority. You don't need to be flawless.
Yeah.
If you eat a donut on a Tuesday morning, it's a vote for a bad habit, but it doesn't mean the election is over.
You don't just throw your hands up and say, well, I guess I'm not a healthy person.
You just make sure the next vote you cast is a good one.
This completely changes how we should view our daily choices. To you listening right now, ask yourself, who are you casting votes for today?
Such a powerful question.
Are you voting for the person who hits the snooze button 4 times or the person who shows up for themselves? Because those tiny atomic votes compound over time into an unshakable identity.
Identity change is the true North Star of habit change. If your quest for improvement doesn't start with who you want to become, you are basically steering a boat without a rudder.
All right, this brings us to the climax of our deep dive today. We are zeroing in on chapter 16 of the book.
Yes, the paper clips.
Exactly. So the listener now understands the framework. They know they need an identity, not just a goal. They know the 4 laws, and they've designed their environment to remove friction. Now, the million-dollar question. How do they ensure they stick with this new behavior every single day, especially when the novelty wears off?
This is where we apply the 4th law of behavior change. Make it satisfying.
Make it satisfying.
To do this, we use a concept known as habit tracking.
And the absolute clearest example of this is the story of Trent Dursmid.
Oh, this story is legendary.
It really is. So Trent was a 23-year-old rookie stockbroker working in Abbotsford, Canada.
Which is important context because Abbotsford is a relatively quiet suburb near Vancouver.
Right. It is certainly not Wall Street.
Nobody expected much from this young kid.
But within a few years, Trent was generating millions of dollars in business and pulling in an enormous salary, all by using a daily system that is almost laughably simple.
It was an entirely visual system.
Yeah.
Every single morning, Trent would place 2 glass jars on his desk. One jar was completely empty. The other jar was filled with exactly 120 paper clips.
And his process was incredibly rigid. He would pick up the phone and make a sales call. The moment he hung up, he would move one paper clip from the full jar to the empty jar.
Move a clip.
Then he would dial the next number, make a call, move a clip, make a call, move a clip.
It's almost rhythmic.
Yeah, and he refused to leave the office or stop working until all 120 paper clips had been moved to the second jar.
What is remarkable about this is the underlying neuroscience of why it works so flawlessly.
Oh, do tell.
We have to look at how the human brain actually evolved. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans lived in what is called an immediate return environment.
Immediate return.
Yes. Our ancestors needed immediate caloric feedback to survive. You hunt an animal, you eat immediately. Our brains are hardwired to prioritize instant gratification.
But modern society is entirely built on delayed returns.
Exactly.
Like you go to work today, but you don't get a paycheck for 2 weeks. You go to the gym today, but you don't get fit for 6 months.
Exactly. Think about Trent's actual overarching goal building, a massive stock portfolio, and a lucrative career. That reward is delayed by months or even years.
Yeah.
When a reward is that far in the future, the primitive part of our brain simply cannot find the motivation to do the grueling, miserable work required today.
Because making cold calls is inherently awful.
It's the worst. There is absolutely nothing satisfying about strangers hanging up on you all morning.
So the paperclip method artificially creates an immediate reward.
Yes.
The physical act of moving that piece of metal across the desk provides a tiny hit of dopamine. It is a micro reward for a job well done.
It directly activates the fourth law. It provides clear, undeniable visual evidence of progress. It makes the ending of the behavior deeply satisfying.
And that ending is key, right?
Very much so. Because human memory tends to heavily emphasize the ending of an experience. Ending on a satisfying note makes you much more likely to repeat the behavior the next day.
And it doesn't have to be paper clips either.
Oh, not at all.
You could move marbles from one bowl to another. You could transfer pennies from your left pocket to your right pocket.
Or perhaps the most famous method, you can just hang a large calendar on your wall and draw a big red X over every day you complete your habit.
Jerry Seinfeld style.
Exactly. The specific medium is completely irrelevant. What matters is the visual evidence that you are casting votes for your new identity.
Right.
And from this concept of visual habit tracking, we are given 2 golden, non-negotiable rules to live by. Rule number 1, don't break the chain.
Don't break the chain. Keep the streak alive.
Yeah.
Because once you have a calendar with 10 big red X's in a row, you're going to feel a powerful psychological urge to draw that 11th X just so you don't ruin the beautiful pattern you've created.
But life is inevitably going to intervene.
Always does.
Which brings us to rule number 2. This is perhaps the most important safety net in the entire philosophy of behavior change. Rule number 2, never miss twice.
Never miss twice. This is so crucial because perfection is impossible.
You will get sick. You will have a sudden family emergency. You will just have a truly exhausting, terrible day at work and collapse on the couch.
Yeah, life happens.
You might miss one workout. You might miss one day of moving your paper clips. The psychology here is that missing once is an accident, but missing twice is the beginning of a brand new habit.
Right, because if you miss twice, you are suddenly casting multiple votes for the wrong identity.
Exactly.
You are voting for the identity as someone who quits. You have to protect your identity by getting back on track immediately, even if it's imperfect.
You standardize before you optimize.
Say that again?
She standardized before you optimize. Even if you only have the energy to do 5 push-ups instead of your usual 50, you do them. You keep the chain alive.
Right.
You do not miss twice, because the most important thing is reaffirming that you are the type of person who consistently shows up. It is the ultimate defense mechanism against that toxic all-or-nothing mentality that derails so much human potential.
Okay, this has been just an incredible breakdown. Let's briefly recap what we've unpacked here today.
Sounds good.
We started with the realization that obsessing over goals is a trap that creates a yo-yo effect. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
Right.
We learned from a photography class that taking messy action beats staying in perfect motion. We walked through the 4 laws to design our environment, make the good habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying.
So we learned that true lasting change must come from the inside out by casting tiny daily votes to reshape our core identity rather than just chasing external outcomes.
And finally, we saw how Chapter 16's paperclip strategy hacks our brain's desperate need for immediate gratification. Visual tracking provides a dopamine hit that helps us ensure we never break the chain, and more importantly, we never miss twice.
But before we conclude, there is a final, rather sobering concept we really must address. A warning about the downside of habits.
Wait, a downside? We just spent all this time learning how to build them.
Yes, but the upside of habits is that we can do things without thinking. The downside is that we stop paying attention to our own errors. Automaticity can breed complacency. The formula for true mastery is habits plus deliberate practice.
Habits plus deliberate practice.
Right. If you only rely on automatic habits, you lock yourself into previous patterns of thinking and acting. As the world around you shifts and evolves, your deeply ingrained habits can actually make you dangerously rigid.
That is a profound warning. We spend years building these rigid structures to help us succeed, but if we aren't careful, those same structures become a cage.
To illustrate this exact danger, there's a beautiful quote from the ancient text, the Tao Te Ching.
Oh, let's hear it.
It goes, "Men are born soft and supple. Dead, they are stiff and hard. The hard and stiff will be broken. The soft and supple will prevail."
Wow, that is powerful.
It leaves us with a critical reflection for the listener. Are the habits you've painstakingly built over the years locking you into an identity that no longer serves you? How can you remain like water flexible, self-aware, and adaptable as you continue to grow and the world changes around you?
That is something to truly sit with. Think back to that stationary bike sitting in your bedroom, the one covered in clothes. Maybe the problem wasn't your willpower after all.
Probably wasn't.
Maybe your system was broken, the friction was far too high, and the immediate reward was completely non-existent. But now, you have the actual biological tools to unbend the hose.
You really do.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Go find your own paper clips today, cast a daily vote for exactly who you want to become, and remember, stay fluid.